All right, let's talk Oregon Ducks football. Spring is in full swing, exciting time across the board, the entire college football world. We're starting to see what teams are going to look like for the future. And the Oregon Ducks, of course, their 2025 future and beyond is heavily tied, like it is every year, to the quarterback position. We've got a little bit of a QB battle going on in Eugene, Oregon right now, and it looks like it could be heading in one specific direction that I think would be great for the Ducks fans. We got an interesting report on that. Before we get into it, though, I'm Nick, that's Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, anytime you got a quarterback position or really any position battle going on, you're always looking for sources to have commentary on it that have nothing to gain or lose, right? Usually a teammate, like an offensive lineman of any of these quarterbacks, they're going to try and coach what they say. Like you've got the assistants and the head coach, they're going to try and really be careful what they say because they're trying to be diplomatic and political. That's why we like to look at sources that aren't directly tied to the organization as it currently sits, but are in the know. And the great source of that is former players, which leads us directly into the report today, courtesy of Athlon Sports. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore is already drawing Heisman hype before taking a single snap as a Duck starter. In a recent interview with Oregon Ducks on SI Sports Illustrated, former Oregon offensive lineman and NFL draft prospect, he's a good one, Josh Connolly Jr., made his belief in Moore clear. He can win the Heisman easily, in my opinion, Connolly said. He can sling the rock. He is a field general. It's not the first time a potential teammate has made a bold claim about Moore's Heisman potential. Back in January, receiver Tez Johnson said he'll be a Heisman finalist next year, 100%. Next year, it's something you ain't seen yet. Johnson said that boy can throw a ball like no other. I've never seen anything like it. He's so ready. You can just tell. All right, I think it's very clear that if you listen to Johnson, you listen to Connerly here, that Dante Moore is going to be a heck of a quarterback for the Oregon Ducks. And again, they've moved on. They've got no skin in the game except they just want Oregon to win. So, and they obviously know him well. They've seen him play on the practice field. So I think they know better than just about at least anyone currently playing because they're going to be more honest about it at least. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this latest Ducks news. But first, Oregon fans, your turn in the comment section below. Who do you want to be the starting quarterback for the Oregon Ducks week one of the 2025 season, right? You got two main options here that everyone's talking about, but give us your thoughts and your reason why, right? Which direction you want to go and give us a reason. You guys know this program better than anybody, and we want to hear from you. Give us the why, because that really matters, the rationale, the logic behind it. Put it in the comment section below. But Myers, give us your thoughts and how everything's going on with this position battle.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is just very telling that these two teammates will come out. These guys, like you said, have nothing to gain from bringing up they don't need to intervene in this quarterback battle. They don't need to give their opinion. They could just say, "Wow, both these guys good. Everyone looks nice. It's really good." But going out and like solidifying, picking one guy, saying, "All right, Dante Moore is the guy. I've never seen anything like him before." Heisman final, two guys saying this guy's going to win a Heisman. That's pretty telling that this is the guy that I think is edging. I think the competition has to keep going, for the sake of competition. But it seems like Dante Moore is definitely that guy. It seems like he's going to pull ahead here. And, it's not just them saying that as far as his Heisman odds. If you go ahead and look at the actual Heisman odds, Dante Moore is actually fifth. He's not even been decided as the starting quarterback officially for this team, but he's fifth in Heisman odds behind Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. I find that hard to believe a wide receiver is going to win. Cade Klubnik from Clemson, I really don't think he has a chance at winning, in my personal opinion. Texas, Arch Manning, we'll see. He's just as unknown as what Dante Moore is. And finally, Garrett Nussmeier for LSU. He can put on a show. I think he's a viable candidate as well. So him being in the race with those guys already just shows he's being regarded as one of the top quarterbacks in the country with having the fifth highest Heisman odds by a lot of people, by the smart money. Las Vegas thinks this guy has a chance. We need to go ahead and hedge our bets against Dante Moore and put the odds out there, because if people start to bet on him as a long shot and he comes out and does really good, we're going to lose a lot of money. So when you look at those things, when you look at unbiased sources, you look at what Las Vegas said, look at what his former teammates say who have no skin in the game. Those are the kind of things, like you said, that we look for. That's what we want, is unbiased sources saying we have nothing to gain by going and doing and making comments or making decisions based on this quarterback. We just have to go off of what we have seen and what we think they're going to do going forward. And that's exactly what we're getting from these guys. I think it's very, very telling and very interesting. And I'm just waiting for this thing to, pan out. I think Novosad is an interesting prospect, but I think when it's all said and done, Dante Moore, he's going to be the guy. He's going to come forward do what he needs to do, and going to be the starting quarterback for this Ducks team. And I think he has a great shot. Oregon been known to develop Heisman, finalists, even Heisman winners as well. I think they've had 3 consecutive Heisman finalists. Talking about Dylan Gabriel last year, Bo Nix twice. Jump a couple down, Justin Herbert was after him. Then jump one more in between Herbert and Marcus Mariota. Really been a great showing for Oregon as a team in general, that they know how to develop Heisman winning quarterbacks. No matter who the coach is, no matter what system they're running, these quarterbacks will produce. So I think a good sign for Dante Moore, if he's named the starter, which I think it's more of a matter when he's named the starter at this point, he's going to be a Heisman finalist. And I think these guys' hype shows he might need to be a little bit higher up on that list than people are giving him credit for.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a matter of when, not if. And Adam Friedman over at Rivals College Football, he said the same thing. He said, quote, "It appears the race is trending toward Moore being named the day one starter. The former UCLA quarterback spent last season in Eugene backing up Gabriel, and he's seemingly ready to move into the starting role." But here's the important thing, and this is where credit to Dan Lanning and his staff, as Friedman also reported that Oregon will likely do whatever it takes to keep some of their other quarterbacks, the guys not named Dante Moore, from the transfer portal. So what does that mean? It means we're not going to get an announcement anytime soon, not during spring ball, not during the summer, probably not towards like maybe the Saturday morning, right, of the first game, right? Who knows? Like, or at least not to the very end of training camp will the Ducks release a starter. Because again, if you're the coaching staff, you want to keep all these guys involved in the program, and you want to make sure Dante Moore earns it. Because if you listen to the reports, he's got the physical tools, seems to have a decent mental makeup, but we got to see what he does in terms of handling the pressure of being the favorite to be the starting quarterback of a major national title contender for weeks and months, going through practices and the media attention. If he can handle it and be a good leader and take on that responsibility, which is incredibly difficult, right? It's not an easy task to essentially be a franchise quarterback, which is what it is, being the quarterback of a big time program like Oregon is these days, what it involves. If you don't have that mental makeup, things are going to go bad very quickly. So I think Dan Lanning and his staff are taking the right approach. Listen, we're not going to name anyone early. We want to see how Moore handles it. And if Moore handles it well, then obviously he will be the starter. But we also want to make sure these young guys, these other guys competing, get an opportunity to show their stuff. Because what if there's a case that Novosad just absolutely plays out of his mind and just doubles or triples his athletic ability and his processing talent and all that stuff, and becomes a legitimate superstar. You don't want to name Dante Moore a starter, on April 3rd, and then have it turns out Novosad by April 12th looks like a number one overall pick in the making, and he transfers and goes to Ohio State or something, and he beats you for the next 3 years, right? You don't want to have that happen. So let the competition play out. Let some of these young guys see if they somehow come out of nowhere and become legit superstars. If that happens, great. In the meantime, Dante Moore has practice, and you can see if he can handle the mental workload as you get ready for the season. So not only is it a good sign that Moore is taking or receiving a lot of praise and a lot of credit for being an elite level talent, but it also is a great job by this Oregon Ducks coaching staff making sure we don't want to hand him the jump too early. We want to make him handle this notoriety. How does he process it? While also making sure we don't lose key backups and key future guys to the transfer portal, because that's so important. Injuries happen. We're in a playoff world. It's much like the National Football League. Anyone knows the playoffs, one or two key injuries, and certainly if it's at the quarterback position, a season can go south very quickly. You want to make sure your backup is phenomenal. If that's say Moore is a starter, you want to make sure Novosad has had an entire offseason of competition. So that way, if Moore misses a game or two, you don't completely fall off the rails, lose those games, and then fall out of the playoff completely. Right approach here by Dan Lanning, making sure not going to announce a starter, full-on competition until right before the regular season. So that way you have a starter and Moore who's ready. He's taken the mental workload. He's proven himself, and your backups haven't transferred around. They're here to support the program.
Yeah, and again, I think that's the key battle to watch here, and I think it's going to be really important. But like we said, we love Dante Moore, what he's bringing to the table, what we're hearing about him to this point. So I think it's going to be interesting. But this goes to show we talk about the guys talking about him and how they have left, and that also has sparked some other interesting things. So I'm going to go over a couple more battles as spring practice about to resume this coming week for the Oregon Ducks. We're going to see who else is good to watch coming down the stretch, and that's going to be important here. I think, Tez Johnson leaving, got to look at the wide receiver room. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. There's a lot of key battles, basically the entire wide receiver room. It's going to be interesting to watch. There's some favorites there. I think DeCarrion Moore in the slot position, I think he's going to be important, but also you've got seniors like Gary Bryant Jr., veteran guy coming in. So that whole position group could be very interesting to watch. I think running back is going to be a big one. transfers coming in when you talk about Mekhi Hughes from over in Tulane. That's going to be an interesting one. Him versus Noah Whittington. Who wins out there? Do they go? Are they both good? They go running back by committee approach. I think it's another option that we've seen down the stretch. And then finally, another one that I would say is the offensive line. Obviously, Connerly's gone. They're going to have to replace him. And I think there's a few guys on the the lineup as far as who's going to slot into this offensive line. Got Emmanuel Pregnon, got David Luley, and got Matthew Bedford. All guys that could slot into the starting roles on this offensive line. Those are 3 battles I have picked out here. I think those will be interesting to watch, as also the quarterback position. So nonetheless, spring ball about to start back up for the Oregon Ducks. So Ducks fans, keep your eyes on the news. Keep your eyes on anything you can see on this thing, because there's a lot of battles going on. There's a lot of good players trying to fight for the starting spot. And I think we're going to be very, very excited to see how all of this turns out for the Oregon